Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Wednesday, 22 October. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the Putin-Trump summit has been put on hold after Russia rejected ceasefire terms. The Dutch are seeking a solution in a standoff over the chipmaker Nexperia, and anti-immigration protests in Dublin burn a police van. So firstly, a planned summit between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin was put on hold on Tuesday as Moscow's rejection of an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine cast clouds over any attempts to negotiate. A senior White House official told Reuters that there was no plans for Donald Trump to meet with President Putin in the immediate future after Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov had a productive call but opted against an in-person meeting. So what? I did mention this in a reel and a post last night. I just wanted to triple down on and hit every corner of my audience because this is just the same shit happening over and over and over again, right? Every time Trump talks to Putin, Putin woos him with some fancy words, and then suddenly he comes out with the complete opposite ideas, and he's like, we're going to talk. Putin's ready to negotiate. He's fucking not. He's just playing Trump like a fool and making him just look ridiculous on the world stage. I don't understand how this keeps getting run back as a play, but Putin's going to keep doing it until it doesn't work. The only way to achieve peace in Ukraine is to militarily force Russia into a position where it cannot win and it can't see any way out other than coming to the table to try and keep some of the land. Yeah, that's my opinion. I just wanted to triple down on this because I just think it's ridiculous that it just keeps happening. We're just going over and over the same shit. And meanwhile, the war in Ukraine hasn't changed, right? The long-range drones are still being effective. Russia's still inching forward at the loss of hundreds of thousands of troops. So, whatever. But, I don't know. For Trump to think he's this grand peacemaker, he's getting absolutely played on this one. And next, the Dutch Economic Ministry has spoken to the Chinese counterparts on Tuesday, but failed to find a solution to an impasse over a chipmaker Nexperia BV, as the German car industries warned of possible product shortages if the situation cannot be resolved quickly. The Dutch government seized control of Nexperia last month, citing fears that the company's technology would be taken by its Chinese owner. China, where most of Nexperia's chips are packaged, responded by blocking exports of the company's finished products, alarming European car makers that rely on them. So what? I feel like we just keep going over the same key points in the last few days, because this kind of goes back to what we talked about yesterday with the critical minerals and just critical technology. The world has divested away from making shit and just relies on China for most of their supply chains now. And this is the risk, right? The Dutch government didn't want to lose the technology. So they used a Cold War-esque law to take control of the company back. China still owns the company, so they haven't taken ownership of the company. It's not like the Dutch government seized it. They just took control of it to ensure that the Chinese owners couldn't take the technology, which, China does all the fucking time. So it's a pretty realistic concern because they'll often just steal the technology, start their own company, give it some state funding, and then beat the competition with undercutting the prices because A, they have no R&D competition, B, they can stop them getting manufactured in China, and then C, they just charge way fucking less for everything. So yeah, but China can then just turn around and stop giving you back your own shit. So I don't know, there's some real supply chain issues in the Western world. We've become so reliant on China. And as geopolitical competition is ramping up, it's just becoming more and more clear that you can't rely on China for things that are critical to your nation, because at any point China can just turn the tap off and you're fucked. And lastly, Anti-immigration protesters burned a police vehicle and attacked officers near a building housing asylum seekers in Dublin on Tuesday, the Justice Minister said, a day after a man was arrested for an attack on a young girl nearby. The incident comes 2 years after anti-immigrant protesters triggered a major riot in the centre of Dublin after the stabbing of 3 young children. The Irish Times, which published a video of the burning police van, reported that over 500 people were involved in the protest outside the building in West Dublin on Tuesday evening. So what? Immigration is becoming an absolute top-tier concern in Western nations, especially in Europe and the US, to be fair. While I think it's likely that this stuff is exacerbated by social media and probably foreign state adversaries who are pushing narratives, anti-immigration narratives, to try and drive division within the Western world, there are some pretty solid founded concerns within Christian nations that are getting overrun by Muslims coming from other countries who do not try to assimilate, and things happen. Crime happens, and when it's the other, it's pretty easy to get pretty heated. Until governments start doing something about it and start making proactive steps, protests like this are going to keep happening and going to expand. There's also the other side of the coin where they're going to start voting in more extreme political parties that they see as the solution to these problems. So yeah, while I do think that there's some underlying motivations from foreign state adversaries to boost this type of division, if governments don't do anything about it, it's just going to get worse, and you're just going to see elections slip to the right, in my opinion. This is all just fucking my thoughts, so take it how you want with a grain of salt. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to keep seeing stuff like this. I think it's only going to get worse. We ain't out of the woods yet. Anyway, that's been your Intel Brief for today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you!